What if BEHEEYEM was in Gen 1 OU? Is it called BEHEEYEM? Or not BEHEEYEM? It's BEHEEYEM, right? That is such a weird name. It's... I remember like it's sort of being said in the anime, where it just sounds super goofy, but... I guess it doesn't matter. This is the Pokemon that one of my friends kept on suggesting, so I was like, okay, I'll just take care of it after I'm done with the creation trio. Because a while ago, some of you guys suggested it too. And I guess I can see why after I made the replay. Or replays, I guess I should say. Although I did get it after the first one. And only the first one. But I think why this guy was requested is pretty self-explanatory. He is a psychic type. And that alone means that there's always going to be a discussion no matter what. Because even in worst case scenario, you're still tanking psychics for resisted damage. You can most likely fire them back. And it's likely you have some other sort of good move. Whether it be dual screens, or another coverage option, or anything really. Psychic types always have some tools going for them in Gen 1. And BEHEEYEM is no different. I think I keep saying it BEHEEYEM. That just comes off the tongue easier than BEHEEYEM. But whatever. Now for the stats, they're... Like that special attack is good. No doubt about it. That 95 special defense is also good. And that is what will be used for damage calculations. Its HP and defense are just... alright. I'd say better than the average psychic type. At least when it comes to defense. And the attack doesn't matter at all. But man, that speed really does hold you back. That's the exact same speed as Rhydon. So you have a speed tie with him. And being slower than Cloyster, Jinx, Chansey, and Executor is really bad. Especially for Pokemon like Executor. And being slower than him means that he can always just guarantee put you to sleep or do anything first. So it just makes a lot of matchups very annoying for you. But luckily, BEHEEYEM makes up for this for its move pool, which is pretty good. Unlike the last few videos I've been doing for a while now, there's only really 4 moves you really want to consider using. But to no one's surprise, each and every one of them are really good. Now you have Light Screen, but that's whatever. Same with... oh, you don't... yeah, you don't Reflect. And Reflect is also kinda okay. You could use Reflect if you want, and it wouldn't be bad, but there's definitely better moves, such as Psychic, your main attacking move, and Recover. I imagine this alone is the main reason why you guys wanted me to cover this, because there are plenty of pure Psychic types in Gen 1 OU. You have Mr. Mime, you have Hypno. Is there a third one, or is that it? That might be it. But when it comes to pure Psychic types, you never really see them used that much in OU, outside of Hypno. And there's plenty of reasons why. But one thing I will say though is that I think a pure Psychic type with Recover is a very different story. Because if Hypno had Recover, it would have been banned from UU, it wouldn't even be in Borderline. I guarantee you if Hypno had reliable recovery, it would probably be in OU. And lucky for BEHEEYEM, he has the best recovery out of all of them. With Recover, obviously. 32 power points is absolutely insane. And along with that, he has Thunderbolt for coverage, especially against Pokemon like Starmie, and Thunder Wave. And even though BEHEEYEM is very slow, Paralysis is still a very useful tool for it. And that's because it has Psychic. Meaning that if you're in battles with anybody, if you paralyze another Psychic type, if you manage to get their special set to drop first, suddenly you're faster, which is a huge deal when it comes to using Psychic and Thunderbolt. So I would say this is a pretty perfect moveset for BEHEEYEM. It allows you to take a few attacks, paralyze, recover off damage, and then try to go for those special drops. technically not something that only BEHEEYEM can do. Executor has Stun Spore, and then like all the other relevant Psychic types also have Thunder Wave and Psychic, and Starmie has Thunder Wave, Psychic, Thunder Wave Recover, like literally the exact same moveset. But I think simply having another one of them, or just using a Pokemon with no electric weakness or no ice weakness, etc., these are all pretty good. And I think BEHEEYEM would have a nice spot in the meta. Let's get into the replays, shall we? Because of all the stuff I've been doing for Generation Jumble, this is going to be smaller, so going to be only 9 replays, but luckily I think all of them are going to be good enough to demonstrate just how good BEHEEYEM is. By the way, you should join the Discord, because in the description of this video, I will have all the information for Generation Jumble. Not to mention just in general, the server's a really cool place to be. A lot of people you can battle with and make what-if scenarios for, so you should join. Starting off with the boy himself, Tauros. Grits at any point will definitely just like make you lose the game, so try to avoid this at all costs. But luckily, Psychic already does a third, so BEHEEYEM can already do a lot of damage to Tauros, meaning without too much luck involved, you could actually put up a good fight against Tauros. Obviously, Paralysis is going to be annoying, and that could lose you the game, but overall, it's a Psychic type that can decently threaten Tauros. Tauros, even though it can get Paralysis or crits, probably tries to avoid you. So it still could go either way, but that's definitely good. And Snorlax you're pretty good against as well. It's one of the few things in the tier you're actually faster than, and you definitely take a lot of advantage of that, with you just using Psychic and threatening special drops. But depending on the Snorlax set, it can just completely end you. But just like most things in the game, Snorlax will always be a could go either way. And ironically, even though Chansey's faster, I feel like BEHEEYEM doesn't have a bad matchup here. Unlike Starmie or Alakazam, when Chansey paralyzes you, you weren't that fast to begin with, so paralysis is not something you really care about. So what you have instead is, you have a Pokemon that doesn't care about paralysis, that can recover off any damage Chansey does to it, and then, if it gets a special drop, it's actually faster than Chansey. So despite BEHEEYEM being a Psychic type, I'm going to say he has a pretty good matchup against Chansey, and I don't think it's because like, BEHEEYEM got good paralysis luck for this replay either. Definitely surprising. That's part of the reason why I make these videos. Now as for other Psychic types, pretty much most of them could go either way. The ones that complete the sweep, I would say are unwinnable matchups. But for the most part, these are very similar to games you will probably see in Generation Jumble Season 2, where you have both Psychics fighting each other trying to get a special drop. But Alakazam here, it has Thunder Wave, Psychic, and Recover. And I think the thing that sets Alakazam apart, that makes it better, is the fact that it has access to Seismic Toss. Meaning, if the BEHEEYEM gets to low HP, it can potentially try to go for the KO without needing to get a special drop. But with Paralysis luck, that can very easily go into your favor. So it could go either way, but with Paralysis and special drops, it can always just goes to whoever gets luckier. So Seismic Toss isn't actually the main thing that helps Alakazam always win. Because sometimes it can just be the opposite, where Alakazam gets the special drops first. And Cloyster here is a Pokemon that you wish you had a good matchup against. And you probably would if you were faster. But having Cloyster be able to clamp block you is just really damning. It just makes it so much more difficult for you. And while BEHEEYEM does have Recover, sometimes your Cloyster can just get a crit. So that's unfortunate. So in general, with Thunderbolt, BEHEEYEM can definitely threaten Cloyster, but I'm still going to say it's a bad matchup, because a lot of things need to go right for BEHEEYEM to actually do something. And right on here is a speed tie with, and both of you can pretty much 3-hit KO each other, but one of you has a chance of getting special drops. So I guess technically a little bit better for BEHEEYEM, but considering how slow it is, even if you do take out the right on, you're already just so well. Anything can revenge kill you. And then, with any move, with any Pokemon with an electric move, the Swirlborn matchup just comes down to if you get the crit or not. BEHEEYEM, with it being faster, I guess is a good thing here. Granted, Swellbow will probably become faster very quickly, but that critical Thunderbolt does do a lot, and luckily Swellbow will give you a few opportunities to go for a critical Thunderbolt, so that's nice. But it's still pretty dangerous, but I think this is a pretty clear example of a match could go either way, if I had to say. Also, this Starmie replay is going to be very long, so I'll just talk about Exeggutor and Jynx while it happens. Because, like I said before, most of the Psychics could go either way. They can both paralyze each other, and then they can try fishing for special drops. Exeggutor and Jynx, I guess since Sleep Claws is a thing, maybe it was worth looking into both of them. But I feel like even so, they're still going to have much better matchups against BEHEEYEM. Because sure, neither one of them has Recover, but being faster and with Exeggutor being bulkier and having physical options as well, I feel like it can probably beat BEHEEYEM. Not to mention Exeggutor being faster is with Sleep, like it's just very threatening. And Jynx with Blizzard, I think just needs like one special drop and then it can probably kill BEHEEYEM with Stab Ice moves. Not to mention it has Rest. Not as good as Recover, but I still think it has its uses. It's Starmie here. I made one replay first, and with that one, the Starmie got paralyzed and BEHEEYEM just kept on getting Thunderbolts. So I made this one here, and this is showing just a very close battle between the two of them, where both are able to recover off the damage, and both are trying to fish for special drops. BEHEEYEM's also trying to look for a critical Thunderbolt. But because of just how bad his crit rate is, it's a lot easier said than done. And I say bad crit rate, but I'm pretty sure Rhydon and BEHEEYEM have like a regular crit rate compared to more modern gens. But someone can correct me on that if I'm wrong. But even if BEHEEYEM does lose against other Psychic types or even Chansey, one thing I will say though is because of BEHEEYEM's with Recover, and also just like its move pool, I'm gonna say that worst case scenario, BEHEEYEM can lose, but as you can see here, already on turn 26, BEHEEYEM can seriously drain the opponent's resources when it comes to their Psychic type power points, which that alone is already pretty good. I really do think BEHEEYEM would be a OU Pokemon most likely. However, probably won't see as much play as some of the others, but I could at the very least see BEHEEYEM seeing more usage than both Jolteon and Slowbro, at least in my opinion. Because having 3 Psychic types with Thunder Wave and Recover, that alone is pretty useful to have. And it'll be really hard to actually find a way to do better than that. But here, Starmie killed the BEHEEYEM, but at the cost of only having 3 Blizzard power points and 5 Psychics left. So, yeah, not a very good position to be in. But here we go. Last but not least, we have Zapdos. And this can also, to a lesser extent, also include Jolteon. But instead, Jolteon's going after BEHEEYEM's much better special, but as a contrast, has a good crit rate. But BEHEEYEM, I'm gonna say, isn't really that bad against Zapdos, because Recover is always good, especially against a Pokemon that's being forced to use Drill Peck. Not to mention, if you get one special drop, you're already faster than the Zapdos, which is a big deal. Granted, I guess Zapdos could go for Agility, but using Agility is kinda risky when BEHEEYEM's throwing Psychics at you. You would just rather try to go for as much damage as possible, and in that case, BEHEEYEM most likely can kill the Zapdos. So, yeah. There we go. Here is the tier list. And I think BEHEEYEM is a lot better than it may look. You may think it's kind of bad that there's no things in great matchups, and there's a lot of things that could go either way. But no, it's pretty good. Keep in mind, there's already some people that use Kadabra, or always test with it in Gen 1 OU, because having a good Psychic type with Thunder Wave and Recover is already so good. But BEHEEYEM is just a much stronger version of that. Nowhere near as fast, but it's definitely bulkier and hits harder. So having a second, albeit slower Alakazam, is a pretty big deal. I definitely think BEHEEYEM would be OU. But that's about it for now. Later today, I'm going to be having a council meeting with Zach and Theus about Generation Jumble Season 2. You should definitely watch that if you want. Also check out my new series on the how to use when it comes to whatever. I have how to use bug types for Generation Jumble, and I'm going to be releasing more. It should be a lot of fun. Thank you all for watching. This is Groundback, and until next time, I look forward to hearing from you.